Welcome back everybody to Bike Revolution. We have another one here today with the Honda Civic. So I guess the last time I touched base on the Honda Civic, it was the ELD that was in the fuse box under the hood. That problem has been solved. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can go back and look at my playlist, Cars and Trucks, and you'll see it there. It's probably something that's been plaguing Honda Civic owners ever since the dawn of whatever. But hey, let's get on topic here. I got the wheel taken off, and I just wanted to point out one cool little feature. I don't know if this came with the Civic or these aftermarket wheels that we got, but I thought these were pretty nice. They are a 10 spline lug nut, and you can't just use any old socket to get it off. You need a 10 spline socket. And I thought that was really neat, but if you ever lose it and you can't get your wheel off, you're kind of up the creek without a paddle. But anywho, we got the wheel off because we're taking off this shock tower today. I originally put these on about 30,000 miles ago because this thing would bottom out a lot, and I thought, it was just the shocks. I really, at first I couldn't tell it would bottom out because I didn't ride it that rough or hit any potholes. But what I did find out is when you got on the trunk lid and went like that, the whole car would just be like that and really unsettling. So I went for these budget Monroes. Now they didn't do the trick. They do a great job. I love Monroes. But really the spring is what needed to be changed. Since I had some other shocks back in the shop, I figured why don't I just slap those on and we'll go with the air ride system here in the back. So, catch up the pace. We're working with a 14 millimeter. And it's real simple here. All you need is a 14 millimeter and a vice grip, and just not any old vice grip, but one that was on sale at Hobo Freight. So you just pinch the top there. Hey, we're coming right off. All right. I did put these on about 4 or 5 months ago, or maybe 3 months ago, so they should come right back off. Give it the old finger twist. There's a nut, there's a washer, and there's the boot. Yeah, she's looking nasty. What's with all that rubbing? Look at that, that's weird. Must be biting into the metal there. Oh well. Grab my hardware, take you on down to the bottom of the shock. So on the bottom, you got another 14 millimeter. I already cracked this one loose off camera. I do have a tendency of putting bolts on too tight. I guess that was a problem I've had ever since I knew what a ratchet was. But I'm working on it. I'm going to AA classes right now. I should say OTA classes right now. Over tightening anonymous, right? You know when you over tighten stuff is when you're a kid and your dad yells at you because says your name with a cuss word in the same sentence because you didn't put something on too damn tight and he can't even bust it. Alright, so we got that bolt off. That's the original. Still looking good. We'll reuse that. And out comes the shock. Pretty simple. Let's have a look in here. Like I said, these springs got about 220,000 miles on them and they just clapped out, man. This thing will just, it'll hit the bump stop. And golly, what I don't like about this right here is that that's your rubber filler neck for the fuel. If your tire explodes, oh man, let's hope that doesn't go along with it. Oh, the grime on there, that's so gross. It has been raining for like 3 days straight here, so that's what it is. But let's get the other shock and slap her in. So the first thing I want to do is compare the lengths. Now these shocks here on the right that are painted black, they did come white. They're made by Skyjacker. There's a number right there. And if you try looking that number up, they'll probably say something like they don't make them anymore or whatever from their website. But if you go to this link right here, you'll see them on eBay for sale for about 60 bucks. And so I've had these sitting in the shop for a while, and I've been doing some work on them, and they weren't ready when I needed shocks, so I put these in temporarily, and I can always use these for something else. They're still good. But these air shocks here, everyone knows them. They've been around since like the 60s. Basically, they got an airbag on the inside. See it there? And you can pressurize these up to like 60, 70 psi. I think even more. But after that, it's just like rock hard. It doesn't flex. But the point I'm trying to get to is they have their own valving system with a little thin rubber hose. And I never did like that with the little O-rings because they would leak. So I'm like, I'm going to rip that off and put a tire valve in there. And that's what I did. And I just patched it up around the edges with some JB Weld and let it dry for 2 days. Pressurized them overnight, came back, they were still holding. They were actually holding there without the JB Weld. I just kind of did that for extra insurance. Now the one on the left is made for the Honda Civic. Like I said, this one isn't. They look about the same. Let's see if the bolt fits in that sleeve. So we got the bolt that goes into here. Got a little bit of wiggle room. Let's try the other side. Yeah, I knew that might be a problem. So what we're going to have to do is knock out this sleeve and possibly take this one out and put it in there. And that shouldn't be too hard. I'll show you a neat little trick on how to do that. Well, instead of going through all the trouble of trying to knock out those bushings, which I totally can do, but it's a lot easier when I got my truck here in the garage. It's not here right now. And what I usually do is set up a bottle jack and put like a deep socket, and then put one side of the shock and then another deep socket on top and jack up the car. And what that does is push the bushing right out. We're not going to do that right now because it's just, I already got the car jacked up and I don't want to try to use that. So what I found instead were just a couple old bolts I can just run through, cinch down, and I got some washers to space them out. I did find the bushings for the top, so that's great, and it even came with little instructions here, but who needs that, right? So let's go ahead and put one of the bolts through right now at the bottom. So I got the bushing in at the top. These are just a little bit wider. Could grind them down, or I can just hit it with a hammer. Let's see with a hammer first. Oh yeah, nice. Snug. Snug as a bug in a rug. Fits right in there. Oh yeah, the bolt goes right through. Alright, so for the top, I'm going to go ahead and use the OEM bushing because it just fits better in that hole. Yeah, that one fits a lot better. Put that right on top. That fits right in there. That's good. Or what we'll do is use the original one. That one's a little bit wider. All right, now it's time to send this thing home. Just enough thread too. So it's gonna be a 15 millimeter. That's good enough. So on the top, inside the trunk, I have the OEM bushing. On the bottom, I put the one that came with this shock here. It's a lot thicker and more durable. Alright, so we got it bolted, mounted in at the bottom, and mounted in at the top. I got my bicycle tire pump set up to it. Give it some air. Now, if I can remember right from last time I had these on a previous car long ago, somewhere between 30 and 40 was a good PSI for a small car. So I got it there at 40 PSI. I'm gonna come back in 5 minutes just to make sure, triple check that that's not leaking, but I already double checked it. Let's go ahead and come back in 5 minutes and make sure. All right, here we are 5 minutes later. Let's take a look. Yep, still on 40. That's a pretty cool setup, man. Just drill out or snap off, or however you want to take off this piece of metal that they had on there, and ream the hole a little bit, just big enough, about the same size as the hole that's on a rim, and then you can pop this in there. If you don't know how to pop this in there, there's a tool that you can get off Amazon. It's called just type in replacing a valve stem from the outside, and there's this long tube, and it comes with grease, and you stick this rod in there that's screwed into the valve stem, and it just pushes it in, and you can do it from the outside. It's a good way to fix snagged valve stems that you snag on the trail, or maybe one rotted off on your trailer. But I'll put a link to that, or you can find that as well here at the bottom. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is put the tire back on. All right, let's get a measurement. 27 1/8. See how high we can go. Thanks for tuning in to Bike Revolution TV. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps out the channel and allows me to bring you more content. You can never tell what I'm doing on this channel. I'm either jacking around with an old beater Civic, playing Evel Knievel on my dirt bike, or just putting way too much lift on my Toyota FJ. Either way, I get a real kick out of turning wrenches, and it's fun to have you here. That's 70 PSI. Oh, I hate when that happens. Do it again. Alright, let's try this with two hands now. There you go. Tape measure, where are you? There we go. Got my tape measure. 70 psi. 27 and a quarter. Wow, that was a lot, right? But I bet you one thing. This thing is rock hard. Let's see. Well, it's not really meant to jack it up, but it did lift it quite a bit. It made it really what it's made to do is make it super firm. Let's let all the air out and see how far down it droops. Don't get my arm caught. .26 and a half. So it'll bring it up 3/4 of an inch. It'll be really firm. Like I said, you want to ride these around somewhere between 30 and 40 psi. And you know, one of the reasons why I did go this way, because if you get new coil springs, you got to throw some shocks in with it and then change all that out. This was a lot easier and faster. Coil springs, I think you can get a set for 50, and then some decent shocks. You're over 100 now. These were 60 bucks, and they're going to be able to hold up more weight than any OEM coil spring and new shock. So when I got this dinky little car loaded down with 4 people, and I got, like last time, I had boxes and boxes of books for the kids, and man, there was probably 200 pounds of books in the trunk. This thing, you hit a bump doing 60 and you're hitting the bump stop. It was just ridiculous. But with this, you know, you may look at it and say, well, it didn't really bring you up much. It's not about the height, it's about the pressure that's in there. There's a lot of resistance. Now resistance keeps you from bottoming out. So I think I've achieved my goal. I'm gonna load this back up to 40 psi, ride it around the block and see how that goes for me. And yeah, thanks for watching the video. Yeah, have a good one. Y'all be safe out there. One more thing I wanted to point out was the clearance of the valve stem. It's a pretty decent amount. So I got my hand on the edge of the tire here. So it's about 4 fingers away from the edge of the tire. And I'm running the 205. See if I can find the size here. Yeah, 205, 55, 16. And it's 4 inches away, so, and I mean, if it blows out or whatever, bottoms out, it's not going to hit the valve stem, so you're good there too.